Did the Republican Party actually steal the election? Now, with the popular vote lead for Hillary Clinton nearing 2 million votes, a group of computer scientists and law experts are saying that Hillary Clinton may have actually won and should demand a recount in 3 swing states that were originally called for Donald Trump. Now, well, actually, 2 swing states. Michigan actually hasn't been called yet. There are 16 electoral votes still up for grabs. And you thought this was over. Oh no, it might not be over. Drama. Here it comes. Now, this group, which includes voting rights attorney John Bonifaz and J. Alex Halderman, the director of the University of Michigan Center for Computer Security and Society, they believe they've found persuasive evidence that the results in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania may have been either manipulated or hacked, or I could just say that we could have also seen some errors as well, because that also happens. He didn't mention errors, but oh look, the possibility of somebody tampering with an election. Where have we heard that before?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like Y2K comes to mind, but I
No.
could just be having a brain fart. Not sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Or we might have actually heard it a little bit recently from somebody who has won the Electoral College. Just saying. Now, so far the
both good examples.
Yeah. Well, so far the group of these people are remaining silent to the press as far as, hey, we're not saying that this is what actually happened. We're just saying that this is a possibility. And they're just saying, hey, look, according to some of the election data, the votes, it's kind of off a little bit. And maybe we should go and we should take a look before we swear in the next president, just to make sure. So I'm putting that out there because they're saying it didn't. We're not saying that this was manipulated for sure or hacked for sure, but we want to recount. We want to verify. Makes sense. Now the data. Now, according to the New York Magazine, the academics presented these findings showing that in Wisconsin, Clinton received 7% fewer votes in counties that relied on electronic voting machines, compared with counties that used optical scanners and paper ballots. Now, based on this statistical analysis, Clinton might have been denied as many as 30,000 votes. Do you know what she lost Wisconsin by? 27,000 votes. 27,000 votes. Interesting. Now, as I said, don't misunderstand. I got to keep putting out this caveat. They're not saying this happened. Let's just verify to make sure that nothing sketchy did actually happen. So again, now some of you, of course, might be understandably skeptical about this, that this could happen. But look, you got to remember the DNC leaks, right? People hacked into the DNC, got a whole bunch of data, old Podesta emails, and gave them to WikiLeaks. Now, I've covered WikiLeaks. I believe that that's a real thing. So if they can hack into the DNC, and whoever it is, whether it be the Russians, I don't know if it's the Russians or not, or if it's Guccifer, whatever you call him, we don't know who it is. Well, who did the hacking? Somebody did the hacking. We don't know who it is, but it doesn't really change the fact that the data that came out from released by WikiLeaks wasn't legitimate. It was. So if they can get in and steal this data, what else could they do? They could manipulate votes, right? They could do that stuff. So, look, my other example too is DC leaks. Same thing happened. They went in, they got this data, they breached the security. Well, what else could they do if they were there? I'm not saying that that's what happened, but it's a possibility. So, and look, it's not like voting machines are unhackable. By the way, cars are hackable. There's been some scary videos of people hacking into cars and shutting off your or taking control of your car. I should say, shutting it off while you're driving, which is super, super scary, taking over your steering, stuff like that. So if a car can be hacked, why can't a voting machine? And here's the other thing: if you believe that Hillary Clinton stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders, why can't you believe that the Republicans could also be doing the same thing to Hillary Clinton? It can go both ways. So, and if there's evidence, we should look at that. And if there's a reason for recount and for verification, which we should always have verification, we should at least take a look. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think there's been enough people coming forward that are fairly credible that, yeah, it should be looked into. I mean, I'm still... I'll tell you
We should
what,
be
man.
skeptical.
I mean, I'll speak for a couple states, and again, this is just one guy's perspective. But you know, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm in Pennsylvania right now, visiting family. They have not been read since 1988, and I was shocked that you know the next time they're going to go red is for Trump. I mean, they never, you know, they were blue in 2000 and 2004, and I mean they were always blue for Obama, both times too. I just was not expecting this to be what would sway a state like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, there's your evidence. You know, this is just one guy's perspective based on a place he grew up. But, you know, same with Michigan. I mean, seeing Michigan swing like that was pretty surprising. And, of course, they haven't officially called it yet, like you said. Wisconsin, I think, is a little... Wisconsin's, I think, a little less surprising, especially since Hillary Clinton didn't even bother campaigning there.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that if a lot of these experts are coming forward and saying that, yeah, this is justified, then, yeah, a recount is certainly justifiable here. And is that to say that, you know, there's for sure fraud or whatever? I mean, no, we don't know yet. But it's saying it's worth it to dot our I's and cross our T's, especially since, you know, Donald Trump is lurking in the shadows.
Well, here's the other thing, too. There's no guarantee that if they did a recount, that Donald Trump still wouldn't come out with an even bigger total. That's a possibility as well.
No, absolutely.
That could definitely cement his lead. And look, results are results, man. I'll accept what results come out from a recount. It's just as long as they're recounted and they're verified. And it's not about like you guys know I despise Hillary Clinton. I despise the Clintons. Okay.
I'm not much of a fan either.
Yeah, so
like,
I'm not exactly
neither
like...
one of us are fans.
Yeah, I'm not exactly like, hey, let's do it so we can get Hillary into office. No, fuck Hillary. I actually just want verification. And it's what I've been calling for.
I'd still rather see her in there than Trump, but...
Well, okay, yeah, fair, but... Yeah, okay. But the whole point is, though, to have an election system where your vote counts.
Right.
And that's what matters. And that's why, of course, I've been a huge proponent for years, thanks to Brad Friedman, the Bradlog, if you've never read him before. This guy is adamant about paper ballots, hand-counted, in plain view, paper fucking ballots. Like, I came to him, like, a couple of years ago, you know, when I was just starting the show, I had him on the show, and I was like, what about electronic voting? What about, you know, email voting or whatever? And he's like... You're an idiot. Hand-counted paper ballots. That is the only way to actually verify. He didn't actually call me an idiot, but he's like, that's a bad idea. Bad idea. Because you can't verify the results.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really matters. And so, yes, this could lead to an even bigger Trump victory, which I would accept the results as long as they're verified. But this is some compelling information. This seeing that these results are a little bit shady. Now, some of you might be asking, how can you actually rig an election? Well, it turns out to be easier than we thought. And also, this could apply back to the primary as well, between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And again, I really have to point out the whole irony. Like, if the Republicans and Donald Trump stole this election from Hillary Clinton after she stole it from Bernie, huge fucking irony. Irony. This is got layers. Layers of irony.
I don't know. Are you saying you think there was actual election fraud in the primary?
There could be. We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know.
I thought the foul play was more, you know, the DNC
putting their thumb in the scale. That we can verify.
Information-wise, the corporate media misreporting the lead that she actually had.
Yes.
By overstating the superdelegates. And the fact that so many voters just voted for her out of fear that Bernie couldn't win in a general. I mean, I think, and that's not necessarily foul play in and of itself. That's just, I think judgment calls
the
that he's
DNC
made for whatever reason.
Like you can't deny, of course, the DNC had their thumb on the scale for Hillary Clinton. We know that. We know that 100%. And whether or not they took that to electoral fraud, we don't know. But like that, then again, that depends on your definition of electoral fraud. Like, were they literally going in and hacking into into the machines? We don't know. We don't really have any evidence for that. But we do have evidence that they closed polling places in areas that might have voted for Bernie Sanders in poorer areas, which also they probably, would have disenfranchised some of their own voters if they did that. Or because they did that, they changed people's registrations. They deregistered from Democrat to Republican or Independent. So they did all sorts of shady shit during the primary. So
absolutely.
It's not within. It's not outside the bounds of reason that they could have done other shady shit. But I'm just saying that there would be an irony there if Donald Trump stole the election and Hillary Clinton stole the nomination. There would be just tons of irony in this whole thing, and you couldn't help but laugh at it while afterwards going into a corner and crying because we have Donald Trump. Yeah. But anyway, how do you steal an election? Now, J. Alex Halderman, who I said was the guy from University of Michigan. Now, he went and wrote an op-ed in Medium, and he basically explained how you can rig an election. He said, first, the attackers would probe election offices well in advance in order to find ways to break into their computers. Closer to the election, when it was clear from polling data which states would have close margins, the attackers might spread malware into voting machines in some of these states, rigging the machines to shift a few percent of the vote to favor their desired candidate. So if it's that close, they could go in and they could go and change the results using malware, which is crazy. Now, this malware would be designed to remain inactive during pre-election tests, so undetectable, right? Then it could do its business during the election and then erase itself after the polls close. A skilled attacker's work, he says, might leave no visible signs, though the country might be surprised when results in several closed states were off from the pre-election polls and also off from the exit polls. Could also have that. And look, these guys aren't the only guys that are raising questions about this whole election. You've got Greg Palast out there that literally he's out there saying the election was stolen, and it was stolen using this racist cross-check system. Now, I've reported on that as well, where they basically use this system to cross-check names, and they purge similar names, even if they're from different areas, in order to eliminate African Americans mostly and Latinos from the voting rolls. So that's definitely a racist voter suppression tactic and a way to steal the election. So now Halderman is saying, look, we're putting out this not because we believe that this is happening, but as I said, the polls, like for example the election polls, he says, were likely wrong, but nonetheless this is too much of a possibility to not look into this. So let's make sure that we verify these results by hand counting these paper ballots in full view, and that's it. And look, Republicans, if you're watching and you're getting pissed off, you're foaming at the mouth, look, relax. If this turns out, if you guys did win legitimately, we'll give that to you. No problem, right? You're validated. Donald Trump is validated. And look, if he's not, just like what you said with the George W. Bush years, Trump would have all this hanging over his head for the next 4 years. Like, is this a legitimate president? We don't know. We don't know. Mm-hmm. And you don't want that hanging around your head. So what's wrong with verifying when you might even come out further ahead? So there you go. And to Hillary Clinton, don't be like Al Gore. I think that she should challenge it. Al Gore did not challenge the results of the election, and look what we ended up getting. We got the Iraq War, we got giant deficits, we got giant debt, we got more tax cuts for the rich, we ended up having the rise of fucking ISIS, and not only that, but Donald Trump makes George Bush look like a fucking genius. Hillary Clinton, Don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, she should definitely challenge.
Don't totally challenge. Again, I despise Hillary Clinton, but if there's actually something there, then challenge. Don't be a fucking wuss. Okay? Bring out, like take out them balls that you've got in your purse and use them. Challenge Donald Trump. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, there's one more thing. I'm gonna keep harping on this. How do we prevent this kind of election fraud in the future if it is indeed happening? And remember the debold machines, those voting machines that, with the touch screens that often vote incorrectly. That's the kind of electronic voting machines we're talking about. Get rid of them. Gone.
Yeah.
Replace them with hand-counted paper fucking ballots.
Yeah, you got to go paper ballots.
Ballots.
Until when and if we find a better way. I know there's a lot of like independent groups out there working on different ways of conducting elections with more sound, transparent software and measures like that. I mean, I'd be open to something like that in the future, but until we have pretty foolproof tests on those, we got to go to straight up paper ballots.
The main thing is that it has to be verifiable without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
That's the number one metric for elections, because what we have now is untrustworthy, and both sides can question the results of an election as long as we have these fucking machines out there that are easily hackable. And look, errors too, right? Sometimes you can have a fucked up error, and that will really mess with your election results. And sometimes it takes a big error for people to notice. But in places or in elections where there is such a tight margin, you might not notice an error. And so you would end up getting results that aren't actually true. So that's what you want to make sure that you have a system where you can verify this and make sure that all of our votes count. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.